Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is our live stream of our open house. I'm Sean Van Every, and to my left.
I'm Midori Yasuda.
And our audience out there is you. So this is a live stream. So we're hoping on Facebook, and so we're hoping that you all will come join us and ask us questions. And we'll talk about our new interactive media arts degree here at the Tisch School of the Arts at NYU. Midori's missing her microphone, so we're going to hand that to her. I'm the director of undergraduate studies in the new department. The department's growing out of an existing department here at Tisch called ITP. There's quite a few acronyms, so floating about, but we'll cut to the chase. ITP is the grad program, and IMA is the brand new undergrad program that's beginning in the fall of 2018. ITP has been around for 38 years, always on the emerging edge of new technology and storytelling, and IMA will be the same, but for a slightly younger audience, for a different audience. So do we have anybody joining us yet? Not yet. All right, cool. One thing that you'll see behind me is this weird animation. Actually, when I turn to my left here, I see a green wall. What you guys see is actually on the computer in front of me, which is really kind of cool. We have this what I coin a micro studio set up here at Tisch, and it allows us to do these sort of live interactive productions with off-the-shelf equipment, more or less. One of our other faculty members, Dan Schiffman, runs a YouTube channel where he teaches people how to program. And Dan is actually here helping us with the studio. Coding Rainbow. So if you're...
No!
Oh, no! I got it wrong. It's Coding Train. I need a graphic, a logo, anything. A train whistle. I could ring a bell. But, oh, there we go. All right. So Coding Train, and there's a good reason that it's not called Coding Rainbow, but we're not going to get into that at the moment. And it's my fault for saying that. This will take some editing before we put it before we put it live or before we put it online, and that's completely fine. There's something nice about live to tape as well, which is what this sort of scenario is called, right? Like where you just get in front of a camera, you're not worrying about getting your lines perfect, you're recording it, and you're pretty much just going to put it out the way that it is. And there's something fun and interesting about that. And live media allows you to do that and to have this really sort of cool experience. If only there were an audience.
I'm working on that.
All right, cool. We did share it.
Yeah, we did. Well, you want to talk a little bit about, just briefly about IMA? And
sure.
then, we've done a number of these, so we kind of know what some typical questions are. We can get into that. Yeah.
So IMA is, as I mentioned, it's an undergrad BFA program, Bachelor of Fine Arts, here at Tisch. It is 50% emerging media, art, new media, technology, and then 50% liberal arts. And we really feel that in this program, you should both be exploring new technology and storytelling, as well as developing, having a world-class education here at NYU. And we feel like this program is the sort of the merging of those two things. We think that you'll be able to bring a passion that you might have and develop elsewhere. Maybe it's in an art or in a science or in another discipline here at NYU, and bring technology to bear on that. Understanding how to use new technology, sort of this idea of build it yourself or allow it to control you. Program or be programmed is one of our sort of central tenets. It's sort of knowing how to build this stuff and use it and wield it effectively to bear on the problems that you see. And that's sort of one of our core components and competencies. We're going to have courses in 5 different areas. One of the areas is art and design. Another is data and computation. One that we really excel at and differentiates us from a lot of other programs is physical computing and experimental interfaces. We really believe that oftentimes computers sort of leave the body out of the equation, leave our whole person out of the equation. And physical computing is a way that you can create new physical interfaces, both for input and output of data from a computer, and interact with the physical world, the real world. And that's something that really excites us and we think helps people use the power of computation in the world in better ways.
So we have a few viewers. Hi, Alex from Romania. That's
Hi, Alex.
exciting.
Oh, yeah, that is really exciting.
There's Maggie that tuned in. Hello, Maggie.
Cool.
So if any of you have questions, just please put it in the comment section and we'll get to it.
Right.
You want to start going through some of these? So, again, we've done a few of these sessions in the past, so there's some questions that continue to come up that we want to just go over. So one of them is, will I study media theory or will I get hands-on production time?
Right. Yeah, so in a nutshell, yes. Right, so you'll both be studying media theory. One of our trains of courses that you'll have to take is seminars. They're not all media theory seminars, but a good portion of them can be. We're also hoping that students will utilize the entire university and perhaps take courses in the Media Studies department here at NYU, which is called MCC. And of course, media theory and critique and being able to write and express yourself and analyze things is going to be a part of every class. And then secondarily, not secondarily, primarily, it is a production-oriented program, right? So you're meant to do hands-on work. We feel like the best way to learn and understand this stuff is through doing it yourself and making. But there will be large components of media theory.
So we get questions on sort of both sides, people that are coming more from art or creative backgrounds, and then also people coming more from the technical or STEM, typically STEM-related fields. So can you speak to how IMA is a good place for both?
Right. IMA is a great place to bring two things together, right? So if you're interested in science and engineering, but you're also interested in art, this is a place where you can bring those two passions together and make things, which we were really structuring it so that you can do double majors, that you can explore other things while you're here. So we really hope that people will take that path and explore other disciplines. Also, we're STEM certified. So this, if STEM is something that you need, it's something that we do offer. It is a STEM certified program, which helps, I think, with a lot of international students and financial aid.
And also for outside scholarships.
Oh,
too,
right, yeah.
STEM-related scholarships.
Absolutely,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, one of the challenges is to sort of explain IMA. How do you convince your parents that you'll actually learn something here at IMA? What are some of the selling points?
Yeah. So I mean, what we have to offer there is the experience of the grad program, and graduates from the grad program have gone on to start companies. Big famous companies have gone on to work for major technology companies and media and entertainment companies. It's been around for almost 4 decades. It has a huge alumni network, which really helps, I think, place students and leads towards internships and nice jobs when they graduate in the realm of user experience design or creative technologist or developers, visual designers, and really that's sort of the ones that are exactly in line with some of the things that we teach. But people go off and they bring this practice into other things as well, and so sort of the sky is the limit. We have plenty of people that have gone on to be researchers and professors, teachers in high schools and elementary schools and colleges around the world, started similar programs elsewhere in the world, and we expect no less from people that'll go through IMA.
So there's one question that's come up. Hi, Danielle. She writes, would you consider a summer program for high school students to introduce the major?
Yeah, Danielle, that's definitely something that we're thinking about. In the short term, we probably won't do it in this coming year. One big thing that's happening is we're moving to a brand new space in Brooklyn, away from our Manhattan home. And that's taking a lot of our energy and time and facilities work. So I don't think we'll be doing a summer program for high school students this coming summer, but perhaps the following summer in our new home in Brooklyn. And actually, you know what? Let me show you. I have a little rendering of that on here. So you can see this. Oops. This is our going to be our new building, and I'm standing in front of it. Hopefully, you can see it now. It's called the MTA building, Media, Technology, and Art. And one of the reasons that that's a really fitting name is because it was an MTA building, the Metropolitan Transit Authority here in New York City. So, and actually this building is where they collected the tokens. When you used to go through the turnstiles, you used to deposit a token. In this building, they did all the token collecting and counting. But now it's an NYU building, and it's going to have departments from the engineering school here at NYU, other emerging technology programs here at Tisch, such as recorded music and games, and it's going to be really exciting. And one of the things we're doing is we have a very close relationship with another department here at NYU called IDM, which is in the engineering school. They'll also be in this building. So we're joined by a special guest, JC Holmes. I'm going to go back to our. Do you want to give her your mic?
Yeah.
All right, so we're just going to do a little mic switcheroo and then let JC come in. JC is a current graduate student at ITP, and she's kindly offered to talk a little bit about ITP, a little bit about her work.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. And we even have this, so if you wanted to go through, like you pull up a web page, it'll show up behind you.
Oh my gosh.
And
I feel like
isn't it? It's like it's magic. This room is magic.
This room is magic.
And so I'm gonna let JC introduce herself,
Okay.
and if she wants to pull anything up, she can.
Awesome. Hi, my name is JC Holmes. As Sean said, I am a second-year graduate student here at the Interactive Telecommunications program. I'm sure you went through what ITP is and what IMA is going to be, but I love to call it the Center for the Recently Possible. While I've been here, I've been really interested in augmented reality and the future of that. So I like to imagine different platforms for what augmented reality might look like in the future, and I like to develop user experiences for it. So that being said, let's go to my website. So when I was a first year, the first project that I worked on, which eventually became my final project, was known as Cirque du Snake. And the idea for this, we asked a question: what does a video game look like when your body is the controller? So no more hand controllers. We were going to no more hand controllers. We wanted the body to be the controller. And what we came up with was this version of like the classic snake game that you used to have on your Nokia phones. We had this game that you would run around a table, and as you ran around the table, the snake would actually try and follow you. And as the snake followed you, you could lead it to different bits of food. And if you notice, my documentation, which I'm so proud of, features our very own Dan Schiffman running around the table. But it's really great. I feel like with the classes that I'm taking as a graduate student at ITP, it's very much about like, let's ask a really crazy question and then let's figure out some answers to it. And the answers usually revolve around like these really cool prototypes. So one of the questions that we asked was, how do you make music, or how do you draw without using your hands? So I worked on a project for a hackathon that I used my physical computing skills called Face the Music. And Face the Music was really cool. We, if you can tell by the title, made music with our face. And in fact, is there sound? No sound. But we also actually started to draw Face the Art. And then we made like an art installation using an EMG sensor that would... You're hearing the sound. I'm not hearing the sound. Different. Okay, so you can hear the sound, but this was us using an EMG sensor, putting it on top of an Arduino, and then using processing, creating the art. Another question I asked was, how do I get people on the internet to tell us your, their deepest, darkest secrets? I really wanted people to tell me their secrets. So we created a project. This was done with a classmate of mine known as Yoonho Choi. This was known as Box Anonymous, which is right here. And essentially, you tell this box a secret and it'll tell you someone else's. I'm actually gonna turn the sound down because it can get pretty loud and I don't want you to hear people's secrets. But the idea is you have this box in the background with a microphone attached. You tell it the secret into the microphone, and then it'll print out a receipt. Oh, I missed the pause, but it's cool. My favorite part of this was documenting different people's facial reactions. One of the cool things about ITP is that you create these projects, but then you can go out into the world and show them off. So we were presenting it at a fair, we presented it at the World's Maker Fair, we've gone to different conferences. It's really cool to like take your projects that you create on this amazing floor, but giving it a life outside and bringing it out into the public, which a lot of students do. I love to ask different questions. I did say that I'm really interested in mixed reality, specifically augmented reality. So one of the things that I did, I think it might be a little difficult to find, so we won't spend time on it now. But one of the things that I did was I worked with Bloomberg in a fellowship, a 6-week prototyping fellowship, imagining what AR looked like in the office space. The documentation's not yet on my website, but essentially we wanted to see, okay, what can we do with a Raspberry Pi, some camera vision algorithms, and a projector. And I created a data visualization application that would extract data sets from paper documents using optical character recognition, OCR technology, and then digitally visualize it for on this tabletop interface. But yeah, it's really great to see that in the year and a half that I've been here, all of the amazing different projects that I've worked on, all the great questions that I've been able to ask and debate with classmates on. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm so excited for my last semester.
Oh yeah,
but I'm excited to see what you're going to create next.
Awesome, great,
cool.
Great. Do you want to stay if anybody has any questions?
Yes.
Please stay. Were there any questions?
Well, yeah. Can you talk about like internships or extracurricular
Oh.
opportunities?
Yes.
Couldn't hear the question.
Oh, okay. So the question was, can we talk about internships or any extracurricular activities? And
My favorite topic.
come on in more.
Wonderful thing about being at ITP is the fact that we are in New York City. And that has so many resources that graduate students can benefit from, but also incoming undergraduate students. So one of our favorite partnerships is with the NYC Media Lab, and they continuously throughout the academic year have opportunities for graduate students, undergraduate students, university students in general, to partner with these different companies. I mentioned that I worked with Bloomberg in a 6-week prototyping fellowship that was through the NYC Media Lab. Currently, they have a 10,000 Verizon Challenge fellowship that people can be a part of. They have a 25,000 tech startup incubator that you can be a part of. And that's not just specific to NYC Media Lab. There's so many opportunities. I have a bunch of classmates that actually just won a startup competition up in Harlem and receive some funding through that. In terms of traditional internships that aren't necessarily fellowships, there are a ton of that too. I'm currently working, actually I just came in from the mayor's office where I'm interning with NYC Opportunity, where I work on the product design team and I work on digital services.
We clicked off. Could you
click off?
restart the camera?
Oh no.
So one of the drawbacks to this studio is that our cameras turn off magically by themselves. But here we are, we're back.
To keep you from
Yeah.
being long-winded.
Is this camera and AI? Like the camera just decides I want to turn off? No.
The audio is still going the whole time.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so I work at the mayor's office on their product design team where I help out with digital services stuff. We've had students intern at different art studios, different museums, different tech companies. We had a lot of students out in the West Coast this past summer working either on VR residencies or producing VR films or working as software engineers, etc. And I think the opportunities are there, especially when it comes to jobs afterwards.
Yeah, and New York, really feels like the center of the world sometimes. But one of the big draws to NYU and IMA in particular is that we're part of this global institution that NYU has become. There's an IMA, a really large and very successful IMA program at NYU Shanghai, another interactive media program at NYU Abu Dhabi. We have big plans to do things in Berlin, and then NYU has sites all around the world where students can study. And it's actually, it will cost less for you to come to IMA and study abroad for a semester than stay in New York for a semester. So it's a great opportunity to sort of broaden your horizons and study elsewhere in the world as well.
Yeah.
So.
One of the best things I ever did in undergrad was travel. So please, if wherever you go to school, hopefully here, travel.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's true.
So Tundi asks, what's the difference between IMA and the Integrated Digital Media Program, which is called IDM, over at the Tandon School of Engineering?
Right. That's a great question, and it's a big one. So one difference will be one floor apart, but that's really, that doesn't matter too much. But there will be a lot of crossover is what that shows, right? IMA students will be able to take IDM courses and vice versa. The cultures are a little bit different. IMA is, in an art school. In a lot of ways, it's engineering for artists. It's sort of, teaching you how to build these crazy creative ideas that you might have. Whereas IDM is often almost like art school for engineers, right? It takes more of the technology as a given, and then offers them more of a critical practice in utilizing it. And I think that sort of sums up the main difference. There's other differences like prerequisites and in IDM, because it's in the engineering school, you have to take some engineering-related courses that you wouldn't necessarily have to take here at IMA. So it's a different set of requirements.
And can you talk about the makerspace facilities that we have?
Right. So in Brooklyn, across the street from...
Oh, you want to know about the makerspace technologies?
Right.
Yeah,
So
facilities.
So ITP is, I actually think of it as the original makerspace, but this idea of makerspace is where people can come and they can do fabrication, they can build things, they can use laser cutters and 3D printers and all of that kind of stuff. They're springing up all over the place. And NYU has a big brand new one right across from where we're going to be in Brooklyn. And then within the department, we'll have our own shop and makerspace, and then also in the building, there's going to be another one in the basement of the building. So there's going to be we're sort of going to be surrounded, but the floor that we'll be on is it's kind of one giant makerspace, right? So So anything else along those lines?
No.
Okay. You want to see one thing that might be fun is we have this walkthrough that a student did of our current floor that might give you a sense of what it's kind of like. So I'll just. So you can see.
Now the audio's gone.
Yes, I turned it off.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. So, right. So this is a 360 video, so we can actually navigate around in it. And unfortunately, the bandwidth in the room that we're in is a little suspect, so we're getting a little bit of buffering. But you can see, it's jump ahead.
I love the quiet.
I've got some backseat drivers here.
Do you want to talk a little bit about like favorite classes?
Oh, okay. There's so many. I've never had one where I haven't said it's my favorite class at some point. I always sit in this area. If you can see this on the screen, this is like my favorite spot to sit in. Anyway, in terms of classes, you can take a wide variety. I'm currently in a class called New Interfaces for Musical Expression. Essentially, we build an instrument and then we perform it live in Brooklyn. And I'm going to pretend that isn't as scary as it is right now since it's only a month away. But it's a really exciting opportunity to build and play your own instrument. I'm also in a class called Temporary Expert, where you pick a topic and you research it for upwards of 12 weeks, and then you create art, research-based art on your given topic. And I chose phrenology and pseudoscience, so I'm building modern-day pseudosciences for my project. I've taken a class called Doing Good is Good Business, where we got to partner with UNICEF and work on different solutions for different real-world problems. My favorite, though, are the Tier 1 courses that every student has to take. So Intro to Computational Media. I know it sounds a little strange. I don't know, Shifman, do you know anything about that? Intro to Computational Media. But just looking at how to generate art through code, that's like your introductory. We're going to learn how to program class. We have Intro to Physical Computing. So for those of you who know what an Arduino is, or microcontrollers, basically looking at the basics of robotics and electrical engineering, and just building projects that can stand in the physical world using code.
Right. And for IMA, those, many of those same courses will be offered. One of the really great advantages that the undergrad program will have is it'll have this well-worn graduate program where the best stuff can filter down into the undergraduate. And I think, a lot of the courses that you're talking about are going to be very similar for IMA students.
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to filter the best stuff down when it's literally the hardest point of a semester for an ITP student is when the course selections come out, because we want to take all 60 classes being offered, but we can only choose 12, which will get narrowed down to 5. It's the hardest moment. I have a really hard time advising students because I want to take everything. Like that's why I'm blessed to be here, because I can vicariously do that. But that's one of the wonderful things about ITP, because we can't take everything. My favorite thing about this place is that we are highly collaborative. And sharing is one of the driving factors of ITP. I don't know what I would do without my classmates and the way that we share resources and share knowledge. If I see that they're working on a really cool project for this class that I'm not taking, I don't feel scared to go up to them and be like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? How is this working? What's going on here? Can you show me how you did that? And 10 out of 10 times, they are so willing to share. And if they say, no, it's always not right now, come back in 10 minutes when I figured it out. It's such a wonderful place to be, or it's such a wonderful feeling to be in a place that's so collaborative and so interdisciplinary, and you can learn from all your classmates, and it's not competitive in any way. It's about collaboration, which makes us not being able to take every class so much easier.
Right. There was a question on Facebook is, would you recommend a student in their junior year to apply to ITP, which is the grad program, or try to transfer to IMA? And the answer to that question is, it sort of depends on what you're taking right now. Junior year, which if you're in your junior year now, it means you would just have your senior year. That might be a little bit late for IMA, so it might be better to finish your undergrad and then consider a grad program like ITP. But we'd be happy to talk to you further, Maggie, if you want to email myself or Midori.
Another question. Where did it go? What's something you wish you knew before you came to NYU?
Okay, so what's something you wish you knew before you came to NYU?
Okay, so a little bit about my background. I went to Spelman College for undergrad. That's a historically black women's college in Atlanta, Georgia. But I majored in mathematics there. And I love math. I loved pure mathematics specifically. I really clicked with abstract algebra. But I realized upon my graduation that I walked out of Spelman with a lot of theory. And I was like, great, I know all this stuff, but what can I do? And I asked that question, and I didn't really have an answer. And so that's why I'm really grateful to ITP, because it kind of showed me, well, here's everything that you can do. I think my advice to students who know that they want to create, give yourself that opportunity. If you know that you want to change the world, you want to do great things in the world, you want to produce something and put it out into the world, but you don't know how, give yourself that time during your undergrad to really figure out how to create for yourself. Really figure out how to learn the technical skills and the design skills and put that together and formulate your own projects. I think the most effective thing that I will always carry with me is that I know how to create now. No matter what job I have, no matter what title I carry, no matter where I am in the world, if I have an idea for a project, I can go out and do it because of the skill sets that I learned here at ITP. But to get back to the question, what did I wish I knew before I came to ITP? Or to NYU? Take advantage of the resources outside of your major. So you're going to come to IMA. It's a fantastic place. There are so many resources, so much that you can learn from your faculty, from your classmates, from the graduate students that will be there. But there's a whole other world. There's the College of Art and Sciences, okay? There's Tandon School of Engineering. We talked about IDM. We talked about there's the Quran Institute. There are so many different departments that you can go and take classes in. And taking advantage of that, I mean, you will have your liberal, you have your general requirements that you will have to take in other schools, but also making sure that every semester you look into those other classes. There are so many professors here doing amazing research. One of the best classes that I took was called Playful Communications of Serious Research, and it forced you to go out into the NYU, the larger NYU community, pick a researcher that was doing work that you really cared about, and work with them and create art from their research, and create a pop-up museum. I worked with the Immigrant Rights Clinic at the NYU Law School. NYU is the largest private institution. There are so many opportunities here. And it's really important that you utilize all of that. Right. And my best advice is make sure you filter your emails. You're gonna get 80 emails a day. Make sure you have those filters on point. Make sure those labels are on point, because there's gonna be so much information coming in, you don't wanna miss any of it.
Right, and that, I'm just gonna reiterate that. It's, the point here is that you should use NYU and use all the things that NYU has to offer. And it's in New York City, and use everything that New York City has to offer. Use it while you're here, and don't just take classes in your major in IMA, right? Explore the whole thing. We have another question from Facebook. I'm going to switch the view here. Got a daughter who's wrapping up an industrial design degree. She's great at that, but has no coding experience other than playing with the Arduino. Would ITP be a good fit? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So we're talking a little bit about the grad program instead of the undergrad program. But ITP is the very first semester of ITP is a boot camp where you learn how to program, you learn how to work with, do physical computing, work with microcontrollers, build circuits, and there's, I would say 80% of people that come to ITP don't know how to program. Maybe it's 70%, but that's what we do, is we bring people up to the same level so that they can create projects that are as fantastic as somebody that's been programming for 10 years.
I would say that's my experience. Yeah. I came with a math degree. I knew some web development, but I didn't really know how to code. And in fact, taking ICM,
She took my class.
I was about to say, my ICM professor was just really on it, and I actually, I learned a lot in that class, and I feel like my coding skills are so much stronger now that I've come to ITP, because it's not, I remember I sat down with my advisor my first day, and I'm like, I really want to take a data structures class. And he said to me, well, what do you want to do with that? And it's because it's not just learning how to code, it's about learning that theory and learning those technical skills so you can create something. So not only can you walk out of this program saying, yeah, I know how to code, but here's what I made with the code that I now know.
Right.
Which I think is really important.
Right. Yeah, and so you don't need experience in this realm to come to ITP. Mm-hmm. And actually, industrial designers come with a great deal of fabrication capabilities that mm-hmm. just makes their work, really polished, and so it's a great background for ITP. Yeah. Hello from Los Angeles. What makes a great portfolio? Wow, ooh. That's a tough one. We're specifically not calling it a portfolio. We're calling it, this is a mouthful, supplemental creative materials. And the reason we're not calling it a portfolio is partially because we don't want the weight that comes with a portfolio. So what we're interested in is knowing about your creativity, knowing about like what interests you and what you're making in whatever medium it is. It could be drawing and painting and sculpture, or it could be YouTube videos or karaoke. It could be a whole wide range of possibilities. Of course, we'd love to see things that are in the realm that we're going to be using, sort of digital media, but that's not required at all. We just want you to have some sort of creative vision and to show us a little bit about what that is. So that's what makes a great portfolio, is something that you're proud of and that expresses your personal creativity.
Yeah. I had that same exact question when I applied. A resident at the time, Sharon, told me, just show them how you think. Yeah. If you can show your thought process and how you think about things, that's the strongest way to do it. It's not about what you make, it's about how you go about it.
Yeah. And it's not required. So you can apply to the program without a portfolio, and do just fine getting in. So of course we'd love to see it. It'll only help. Anything else? Okay, so we're going to wrap up. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our performance, our setup. Also, one great way to find out about IMA and ITP is to come to our winter show, which is here in New York on Sunday, December 17th, and Monday, December 18th. And actually, let's I'll pull up the URL for it. Is the site up?
The poster? I haven't seen the poster.
Yeah. So you can go to this webpage and find out a lot more and check out some of the projects that you might see. So it's itp.nyu.edu/show, and then it'll redirect to this URL right here. So here it is.
Gabrielle, this is awesome.
Yeah.
What a great design.
So that's a great way to come and experience the department and see what's going on here. And then JC alluded to the NIME performance. Also, if you're interested in, we have all kinds of end of semester performances, and that music one will be really interesting. Students create some weird stuff.
I mean, even this weekend we have pop-up windows that's going up on Broadway and 10th, I think.
And also this weekend is Creative Coding Fest.
Creative Coding Fest,
which is like high school students and college students, all who are
middle and high school, actually.
Middle and high school students, and then teachers who are interested in the creative potential of programming and coding. So that's going to be taking place on Sunday at our facilities. And on Saturday NYU has an open house as well, which if you could probably still register for or just show up. And you can find out more about NYU. So if you're in the area, it's something worth looking into. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.